Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the next installment of the Second Floor podcast. As everyone knows, I am your co-host, Kenny Buller, and I'm here with my boy, Omid. And we have a very special guest today. We are bringing on board, as you guys know, our main focus has been wanting to be inspirational women in the city. And we're bringing on board Gill.
Thank you.
Welcome, Bean.
Thanks, man.
No problem. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I want everyone to know, Bean, that prior to us getting this episode out, we are going to be talking a lot about Bean's story. Bean is paralyzed from the waist down, but that does not stop her in absolutely everything that she's been able to achieve. And Bean is somebody who's the Miss Wheelchair Canada 2018. She is also an amazing entrepreneur locally who has been able to create ReYu, which is a paralysis recovery centre.
Yep.
And on top of that, this month, which is where we're recording it in February, Bean has been nominated for the Global Vision
Woman of Vision
Award.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thanks, man.
So with all of these things and even other things like being involved with Yeg Fitness and me seeing you everywhere on social media, I'd like to first just start off by letting us know your story and how this all came about and how you got more involved in this space of recovery.
Well, it wasn't something that I wanted. It wasn't something that I, obviously when I was a little kid, didn't think that I would be divorced, paralyzed, without kids at 30, right? Nobody really thinks that's what your life is going to end up like, but it's what happens to some people. And I guess I'll start in 2012, which was, and hopefully will always remain, the worst year of my life. In January, I turned 30, which was no big deal. We had a sweet party and stuff. And then in April, I left my ex-husband after he beat me up for the first and last time. And then I went on a few months of just kind of having fun and not really dealing with my emotions. And back then I never talked about my feelings or anything. And I always just sweep it under the rug and not acknowledge or deal with it. And it was 2 months after I left my ex, my dad left our family. And 2 weeks later I was paralyzed. And so I was in Vegas when I was paralyzed, and it was Friday the 13th of all days. I woke up, we were going to go to the pool that day, so I woke up, brushed my teeth, washed my face and stuff, walked over to the window, opened up the curtains, and saw that it was raining outside. And when does it rain in Vegas in July, right?
Yeah.
Never. And so I walked back to the bed to lay down, and that was the last time I ever walked on my own.
Wow.
And so, I was laying down with my friends, and then I had the worst pain I've ever felt in my low back, and that lasted maybe 5 minutes. And then after that, I couldn't move my right leg. And then so I was bending my left leg up and down, wiggling my toes, flexing my ankle, and a couple of minutes later, I went prickly from my hip to my toes, and that's it. I was left paralyzed from the waist down.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. So this was something that you never would have saw coming, and it wasn't even from a freak accident.
No, I didn't do anything. It just it was sudden onset paraplegia is what the doctor said. And then I'm an x-ray tech by trade, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm logically thinking about your spinal cord and where my pain was so low that your spinal cord splits before it gets there. And so I was just kind of thinking what's actually happening inside my body. Anyways, called 911. Went to the hospital, they did a full spine MRI right off the bat. That came back negative, and then they started doing all the other tests, and everything came back negative. And I was there for 12 days. My sister and my mom came, so this happened on a Friday. They were there Sunday morning. And my sister stayed for a week, and then my mom stayed with me for the whole 12 days while I was in the hospital there. And basically they told me that there was nothing physically wrong with me. They couldn't find anything physically wrong with me. So they told me I had conversion disorder, which is where you're so stressed out that your brain tells your body to shut down. And given my year, I was like, okay, right? Yeah, this is
everything that happened.
Sure, right? I'd never dealt with anything. And so one of my best friends, she's a life coach. And when I was telling her, I was in the hospital there talking to her, telling her what happened, and she's like, Bean, this is God literally stopping you in your tracks and making you deal with your shit.
Really?
I was like, yeah, I think you're right, man.
Yeah.
I think you're
She
right.
just said it how it was, hey?
Yeah.
Is that because at the time there was just so much happening in your life, or maybe you've maybe felt like you were running away from certain problems that needed to be dealt with, or?
Of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I was not hanging out with a good crowd. I was not making the right decisions. I was partying a lot and doing things that I shouldn't have been doing. And had this not have happened to me, I don't know where my life would have ended up.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, like, at that time, obviously it was terrible and scary and really hard to go through and even hard to, like, process that it was happening. But, like, now I'm, 6.5 years later, I see why it happened.
Really?
Right? Then I was asking, like, why me? What did I do to deserve this?
Yeah,
Why am
of
I in a
course.
wheelchair while my idiot ex is running around?
Yeah.
Not an issue in the world, right?
Exactly.
Like,
going through all the reasons of saying,
Yeah.
okay, well, why me? Why did I deserve this? Why?
Yeah.
Especially when it's something that you didn't even see coming, right? Like those are the scariest things that we deal with in life, is where you go about everything that happens and you'll never even believe that something that tragic could happen. And
I mean, we all think we're invincible, right? It's
Yeah.
not gonna happen. It's gonna happen to me. I'm gonna drink and drive. Nothing's gonna happen to me, right?
exactly.
Like, we all have that mentality. Everybody does, right? Unless you're really paranoid and you think everything's
course.
gonna happen to you. But majority of people don't think anything's gonna happen. And 6.5 years later, so much stuff has happened to me. I still think that nothing's gonna happen to me,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm still, let's go skydiving for
Totally.
sure. Dude,
Yeah.
let's do it, right?
I love that.
But, like, it's just the programming.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
When do you think you started to accept the reality that you were about to now live into? Like, was
I
it
honestly
a
don't
long...
even think I still have even accepted it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I use a wheelchair, but I don't consider myself disabled, right? I don't think I have a disability. I just, like, my legs don't work. And, like, I know I'm going to walk again, and I'm always going to strive for that, and that's always my goal.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. I don't know. And every person's so different, right?
Yes.
So, like...
It's all case by case,
Yes.
in a sense, right?
And it's your personality and it's your attitude of how you're going to deal with things and how you react to things, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, I don't know, I've just never felt like, okay, this is my life, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, totally.
Yeah.
Just to level set with you, I mean, it's not even remotely anywhere near what you went through, but to understand what like a snippet of that felt like is when I broke my jaw. And I was hospitalized for 7 days, and it happened in my first MMA fight. And again, you're thinking already at that point that you're on top of the world. You had the best training camp, you did everything you could, and you go in there, and then some earth-shattering physical accident happens, and it changed my entire view on life, right? And again, I ask acceptance for you, because there's even moments in my life now where it's like, okay, can I accept the fact that I may never be able to fight again because of you could say the insecurities that you will still have, but you keep very deep inside of you. Like, it's something that you don't want to just share with anybody. And that's why I respect you so much. And I'm so glad we're sitting here today, because you're an advocate for that. I mean, you're doing certain things that maybe certain people who have been in a similar situation as you would think it's near to impossible to do. Right? And I'd like to know how maybe when you felt like that time, or okay, even if you haven't accepted it yet, when did you feel like you could still do things that you were able to do that maybe others would feel like, Bean, what are you doing? Like, you can't do that anymore.
It was probably like a year after I was paralyzed. Like, the first year was definitely the hardest, as my sister. The hardest, right? Like, your whole life gets flipped upside down, right? You go from being fully independent, like I had a really well-paying job, I had a really nice car, bought whatever I wanted, and then all of a sudden, bam, your income is cut off. You are 100% reliable. Like, I couldn't even sit up, I couldn't roll over. Like, my mom had to do everything for me, right? And like, my brother had to like transfer me around. I couldn't move myself, and like, it's a hard hit on your ego.
Yeah.
Big time.
Huge.
It's a very humbling experience to not be in control of your body and to be reliant on other people for almost everything.
Yeah.
And then So I kind of fell through the cracks of the medical system as well. Because I was paralyzed in Vegas, I was discharged and flew home commercially, like WestJet, flew home. And then they told me that I needed to see a psychiatrist because whatever it was a mental block and I needed to figure that out. And then they told me that most people get full recovery like within 2 weeks. So I was like, solid. Okay, cool, man. I can do this for 2 weeks. Anyways, went to the Grey Nuns, right? Sat and emerged for bloody 8 hours. Talked to the psychologist who is an Indian guy. And he just like told me basically there's nothing wrong with you. And he asked me, he said, most people who this happens to have a large monetary gain coming towards them. So do you? I was like, no, dude, like I can't work right now. So I'm actually losing money here.
Exactly. You're like, the last thing I'm thinking about is money right now.
Yeah. So I was just really annoyed and like, you know, I did not want to stay in the hospital. So I refused. So I went home. And then my family doctor was really good. And my legs started spasming maybe like, I think it must have been 6 weeks after. And it was really bad. Like I'd go over a bump in a sidewalk and my legs would shoot straight and I'd slide out of the wheelchair. Like it was bad. And so he sent me for another MRI because he's like, this is not conversion. It doesn't display like this, right? So I went for another MRI and that was in October 2012. And at this point I had about 30 MRIs. Okay. So like, I'm like, okay, well, it's not going to show anything because none of the other ones did. Whatever. But this one showed something. This one showed a lesion in my spinal cord at T10, T11 on the left-hand side. And so, and then in the report it said it looks like transverse myelitis. And so obviously I Googled transverse myelitis and should not have. But basically transverse myelitis is where you have one lesion on your spinal cord or brain. And as soon as you have 2 lesions, you're diagnosed with MS.
Oh no. Yeah.
And MS hits healthy 30-year-old women, and Alberta has the highest rate of MS in the world.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. And so that was a hard pill for me to swallow, and I just, you know, that sunk my depression a little bit lower. I think that's what like kind of kickstarted it.
Yeah.
I cried for a long time. And
at that point, it felt like it was not getting better; it was getting worse.
Well, I just thought that that's what my future was going to be.
Yeah.
Right. And then plus, like, I was watching YouTube videos of like people who have TM, and like they were not positive videos. They were really sad and negative, and I was joining these Facebook groups of people who have them, and they were just constant people bitching and complaining. And so, like, you know, you get wrapped up into it, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, yeah, this fucking sucks.
You're looking
I don't
for
want to
answers,
do this.
right?
Yeah.
You're not only at that point seeking medical advice, you're also thinking, okay, well, if I'm not getting the medical attention I deserve, let's hear what the people are saying.
Well, and it's just like, yeah, I want to know, will I get better? Am I going to get better? What's my life going to look like, right?
Yeah.
And so once I got that diagnosis, like a whole bunch of doctor's appointments kicked off, and like so much, I was already doing physio, a lot of physio. And then like December rolled around and we were supposed to go to Puerto Rico, me, my sister, and a bunch of our friends. Nice. And then I had to cancel my trip, right? And then like everybody else still went, and it was December, so it was like everyone's posting happy Christmas pictures, and here's my tree, and here's this, and here's that, and I was just like, fuck off.
Exactly.
Right? Like, I do not want to see your jolly damn face.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And so like I was just really angry, right? Really depressed, really insecure, didn't like anything about myself, and like I was eating everything in sight, so I was gaining weight really fast too.
Finding different ways to cope with it.
Yeah, and you don't really notice how much weight you're gaining when you're sitting all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I ended up gaining like 20 pounds in 2 months. And then in January, I had an appointment with the doctor at the Glenrose. So I went there, and he told me, he's like, you have to be admitted. And I was like, nope, I'm not living in a fucking hospital. Yeah. And at that time, I had a catheter, an indwelling catheter, because I had no bowel or bladder control, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what they wanted. They wanted me to get rid of the catheter and to learn how to intermittently cath myself so I can pee like every 4 hours.
Oh, really?
That's a reality of spinal cord injury, right? A lot of people think, oh, you just can't walk. But your bowel and your bladder are controlled by your spinal cord.
Wow.
And so, yeah, everything gets fucked up.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And again, those are things that you wouldn't even expect happen until it happens.
Yeah.
Right? And then you just get told that, or it's just something you find out, right?
Yep.
Do you feel like, I mean, now that you know these things, or now that
Mm-hmm.
you went through it,
Mm-hmm.
what would be something that you wish you could tell yourself then? Like if you could go back to that being going through it, and this is the being who's, you know, after a few years of experiencing it, going through it, overcoming it in many ways, and doing the things that you've achieved now, and being that you're so positive, because I love your energy. What would you say to that being who's at
I would
that
tell her
stage?
that everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna be okay. Like you're, you know, because then I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know what's crazy about that is, like, I find that when we're all in situations of, like, being at the bottom of the barrel and being through severe pain, like going through that emotionally, physically, we always look at it day by day, right? And I started thinking, you know what, looking at it day by day might feel very excruciating. It might feel like somebody, let's say, who's in jail, and they're like, okay, 365 days till I'm out. That might sound like a lot. And then when you kind of think of it differently and you go, okay, well, why don't we look at it maybe month by month? Maybe let's look at it week by week. And let's see, how did I feel last week compared to this week? You know, what have I done in between that time to now to make myself feel better? And I'm just wondering for you, like, what were some of those recovering strategies or some of those things that did help you cope? And, like, this is for the audience that's listening who is going through what you went through, or they have, or maybe they're about to. And then they could really understand what worked for you compared to what didn't.
Well, one of my biggest saving grace was because of my misdiagnosis, I was forced to see a psychologist, right? Because it was a mental thing. I had to unlock it. So when I got back, that's one of the first things I did was I found a psychologist, and I started going to her 2-3 times a week, and then it slowly dwindled down, but like she really helped me deal with not only my paralysis, but my divorce and my upbringing and all the traumatizing things that happens when you're a first generation Indo-Canadian living in Edmonton.
Sure.
Right? And my whole family started seeing her, everybody.
Wow.
Because it's not just one disability, it doesn't just affect one person. Everybody, your whole family dynamic is thrown off, right?
Changes.
Everyone is affected. And she really helped me, like, deal with all of the stuff that's happened to me in a healthy way without substance.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
Whether it be food, alcohol, drugs, whatever, it's coping mechanisms, right? And so she really helped me, find myself again and, like, just kind of acknowledge all the stuff that's happened and, like, let yourself feel the pain and then kind of move through it.
Yeah.
And so I highly recommend that everybody see a psychologist, whether you have some sort of great adversity or not.
Yeah.
It's really good to have somebody that is going to give you the tools to deal with and won't judge you on it.
Yeah.
And they're expensive, but, like, I don't know, peace of mind and, like, being able to understand yourself and move through the adversity that's going to happen to you, because no one is immune from adversity, right? Bad shit's going to happen to every single person on this earth.
Yeah.
Right?
In one way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I'd really say, like, for sure, she helped me a lot.
Wow.
And then also my family and friends, right? People, they didn't treat me different. I mean, everybody treats you a little bit different, but, like, it's funny. They always say, like, you find out who your true friends are when you go through something traumatizing.
True.
Yeah. Like, 2 of my very best friends, neither of them came to see me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And then
that's ridiculous.
And then, like, these guys who've been friends with, like, when Tim went to high school with them, like a bunch of brown guys, they were at my house almost every day, like every week, took me out for dinner and stuff like
Isn't
that.
that interesting?
And, like, to this day,
it's
they're
like the
still
ones
always
that
there.
the ones that were closest to you and who didn't show up, it's like they feel like they don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
Like they feel like they're gonna have to heavily get involved in your situation, and they decide to take a major step back.
Yeah.
Which to me is disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, just shows your true testament to friendship right there, right, for them.
Yep.
So that's incredible, and it's crazy to know that those are all the things that happen. And you touched on something that I'm really curious about. Is, do you think that by having the psychologist help you, but not only you, but your family as well?
Oh, 100%.
Did that improve your family dynamic in a way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because everyone's allowed to feel how they're going to feel, right? Siblings, my mom had to quit one of her jobs so she could take care of me all the time. Plus my dad had just left too, right? So it's not just one thing. Plus I'm going through divorce now. right? Like there's a lot of layers to this and a lot of drama happening and stuff. And so I really think it helped. And like I still see my therapist once or twice a year, kind of whenever I need to now. But like, you know, it just, I don't know, it was definitely has helped.
Of course.
Everybody.
How would you say you handle change now? Like now that you've gone through such a heavy moment in your life of like flip the book, completely different side of the paper. How does that look now for when maybe you're foreseeing change happening?
I just gotta roll with it, man.
Yeah, roll with the punches, right?
I don't expect anything from anybody, really, right? You gotta keep your expectations low, and like one of the biggest things coming out of this in my priority list is fun. If I'm not having fun, what the fuck am I doing?
Exactly.
Straight up,
I
right?
love that. And that's the crazy part is like sometimes something so tragic can happen to somebody, and then it's as if they think it's gonna suck the fun out of their life. So I love how you put that. Oh, of course. Yeah, no, absolutely, right?
Yeah, or even with the day by day thing. I think that really something like hits you, and then all you think about is that thing, like 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
For that period of time, anyway.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's insane. You really hit me with that story. I didn't even expect it to go anything like that, right? To you know, take a turn for the positive. When you decided to open up ReYu, how much has that opened up your ideas on helping people out similar to you? Like what exactly led you to that? And how soon after did this start? So I'm just wondering, and share everybody what ReYu really is from your perspective.
Well, before I get to ReYu, it was while I was in the Glenrose, there was one day where my paradigm shifted completely, right? So up until then, I was very, woe is me. Why did this happen to me? I don't deserve this. And then I was having lunch one day with my roommate and this other girl who is a high-level quadriplegic. And she says to us, will either of you walk again? And my roommate's like, this bitch will. And like, they laughed and stuff, but like, I was overcome with guilt. So much guilt came over me. And she said, I would be happy if I could move a fucking finger. And it was that moment that I was like, okay, Bean, you're not allowed to feel sorry for yourself anymore.
Yeah.
Because at that time, like, I have my hands, right? And I'm so grateful for my hands and my arms. And at that time, I was standing with the walker, but like not walking or anything. But I knew in my heart that I would be walking and that I'm going to be okay, right? And it was like, and we're really good friends now. The three of us still are friends. And actually the girl, the quadriplegic, she's on our board of directors.
Wow.
Of ReYu. Because without her saying that, my mind shift might not have changed.
Of course. Right?
And, you know, then I started getting back into like, you know, kind of working out and stuff. And I'd always worked out since I was like 12 years old. Yeah, but cool. After I was paralyzed, I just kind of like forgot about everything, right? And I was doing physio 4 times a week and doing whatever I could at home. But it never occurred to me to just like keep working out, right? And so then I was at the Glenrose when I found out about a place in California called Project Walk. It's a spinal cord injury recovery center. And so my mom Googled it and she found a place in Regina that was an affiliate of theirs. And so I was discharged from there, and then me and my mom drove to Regina. We spent a week there, and I loved the program. Just fell in love with it. It's just straight up working out. You're in a gym. It's obviously with assistants and stuff, right? But like just the trainers, everybody treated you like normal, and you just felt normal. Yeah. And that was a feeling I hadn't felt in a long time. And so then we came back. My brother and cousins built me a table, like a workout table. And then my mom was like, you know, I have 3 weeks off. Why don't we just go to California? So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to say no. Straight up.
How can you say no to that?
Cool.
That's awesome.
And so we went to California, and in the 1 week of training there, I saw incredible results. Like I have a lot of spasticity and tone in my legs, which means they're very spastic, right? They spasm all the time. And it's like a double-edged sword because it's nice to have muscles. Yeah. I don't control them though. Okay. Right? Yeah. They're very, very strong. I fight my legs every day. My abs spasm, which I mean is not that bad, but it's like super lopsided, right? Yeah. And so, Anyways, in the whole first year of being paralyzed, I went through a lot of physiotherapists, and not one person could get my ankle to 90 degrees because my toes would point. I had extensor spasms, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like my calves are that tight that
It was
no one
that
could
intense.
no one
it
could
couldn't
flex
bend
them.
normally. It'd be like
No.
this.
Like, yeah, knees hyperextended. Even
Wow.
right now they are hyperextended and
Yeah.
toes pointed, right? Anyways, after 1 week in California, they had me standing on my flat feet on the Friday. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Just
Sold.
with the work that they were able to do, right?
Sold. Yes.
That's awesome.
And so that is really what kickstarted it off. And so
Yeah.
all of the trainers down there are either kinesiologists or exercise therapists.
Yeah.
And so while I was down there, I Googled the U of A because I knew I was going to get a home program from them. And so I wanted to find a kinesiology student who would help me carry out my home program. And so Googled the U of A, found this guy's email address, emailed him. He asked me a bunch of questions. I told him all the answers. And he fanned it out to the whole faculty as a job posting.
Mm-hmm.
And so Nancy was one of the people who replied to my job posting. And I ended up hiring her and another girl. And they were working like set opposite days.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time I was doing 6 days a week, 3 to 4 hours every day.
Wow.
Intense. If you want to get out of this damn wheelchair,
Yeah.
1 hour a day is not going to do
Yeah,
anything.
you have to put in the time.
Yes,
Right?
24/7.
Pretty much feels like a job in and of itself at that
100%.
point.
It was
right?
my job. My job has been working out for like the last 6 years.
Nice.
doesn't pay very well. But yeah, so and then Nancy and I met and we started working out, and then 6 months later I went back to California and she came with me for the last week. This time we went for 5 weeks. And yeah, so she came with me. We did the Train Your Trainer program, and that's where she kind of found her confidence.
Yeah.
Because here she couldn't ask anybody, right? Nobody
Yeah.
knows what this is. Nobody's ever doing it, so there's no one
Yeah.
really to bounce ideas off of. So down
Exactly.
there, that's when she got her confidence and validation. Like, okay, I am doing this
She
right.
saw it happening.
I do know what I'm doing and
Yeah.
stuff. And so when we got back, that's when things kind of kicked off. Like, anybody that I would meet in my journey who's in a wheelchair, I'm like, man, you got to work out with Nancy. Like, she's
Yeah.
dope, right?
Cool.
And so then she was going to people's houses, meanwhile still going to school
Yeah.
and training people. And then we just saw a need. We saw a need here. I talked about opening a franchise of Project Walk here, but trying to bring that kind of franchise over the border is ridiculous. The red tape and their franchise fees were astronomical.
Yeah.
And plus, I wasn't in the right headspace yet,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I can respect that you say that too.
Yeah.
When you know that it's just not the right time yet.
It wasn't the right time yet
Right.
because the universe didn't make it happen, right? There was obstacles being put in our way, and that's how we knew. And then it was 2016 where Nancy got a full-time job offer from Florida.
Oh.
And I'm like, no, you can't leave me.
Yeah, yeah.
I need you. I found
Exactly.
you. You're
Please just stay.
fine.
Whatever you do, just say no.
Yeah. And so she said, well, if I'm going to stay here, we got to do something worthwhile.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I guess we're going to do this. And so then we found...
She stayed then.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so we found a marketing agency to come up with a name and tagline for us. Because
Awesome.
we come up with them and tell our family and they would shoot it down. And her and I were just getting so frustrated. Like,
That's the worst, eh? The name.
Yeah.
We have that problem too.
right? The name is the hard part.
Yeah. It's tricky because it's like it means everything. It's what everyone's gonna say. What everyone's
Yeah.
gonna remember it by.
That's your
right?
brand.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So then we found Zag Creative. They took us on pro bono. Everybody who did a lot of our work for us took us on for free because I had no money to invest. Nancy had no money to invest. So we started ReYu with $0.
Wow.
And when you have a compelling story and you are out there in people's faces, it's hard for them to say no to you.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, it was a lot of people helped us. A lot of people helped us get off the ground. And we found a shared space with Parkinson Association of Alberta.
Cool.
So we rented the gym from them.
Yeah.
And we started out slow, right? We started April 2017,
Mm-hmm.
registered as a nonprofit. And like, I have no business experience. I'm an X-ray tech. Like, I can tell you about your bones.
Yeah.
Right? But like, I can tell you about how healthcare works,
Yeah.
but like, not a business. And so it's just been like...
It's like a learning experience along the way about
huge
the
learning
business
curve.
side, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
huge
wow.
learning curve. But yeah, in April 2017, we opened ReYu, and
Cool.
we started at the end of the month. We had 6 clients, And now we're coming up on our 2nd year anniversary, and we're at over 75 clients, 5 staff
huge.
members in a 5,000 square foot facility.
Holy moly, that's amazing,
Crazy,
hey?
man.
That jump in the
Yeah.
past 2 years is
It's
insane.
insane.
And again, it just goes to show it's about how you said it. Like you're in people's faces, like the passion behind your story and what this means to you, and actually helping people in that regard. And I love seeing that, because I'm all about certain stories where people find their niche,
Yeah.
and they stick with it,
Yeah.
and they see how much improvement they make. And I think I'd love for you, if you're willing, like maybe share like a success story of somebody who has come into the
Yeah, for
recovery
sure,
center,
for sure.
and maybe from like start to finish, you saw how much it's changed their life,
Yeah.
similar to yours,
Sure.
by them making it a priority to rehabilitate themselves.
Well, everybody who's in our facility, all of our clients, everyone is super motivated, right? Because when either you're born with a disability or it's thrust upon you, right? And you want more. You want to achieve more. You want to be accepted by the able-bodied community, and you want to have a healthy life. Most people do. They want to live a long time. They want to live a happy, healthy life. And there was just nowhere for anybody to go before to have the tools and resources to do that. And so for me to be able to provide that for other people is huge, because like in my first year, I felt really isolated, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, I had my family, I had my friends, but did they really understand what I was going through? No. They tried, but you can't, right? Unless
Yeah.
you're in that, you can't.
It's true.
And so I don't want anybody else to go through their first year by themselves,
Yeah.
right? Or to have to go through, their adversity and stuff by themselves, and
Exactly.
like feel like there's no one there to support them.
Yeah.
And so for ReYu, for me, a big thing of it was to create a community, right? To create a community of love and
what I was
support and judgment free. And that's the biggest thing in our facility is we don't treat people like they have a disability. We treat people like people.
Yeah.
And that's a very foreign concept to a lot of people, just because of how we're raised and our programming and our society, that like people with disabilities are often thought of as shameful, less than, right?
Yeah.
Like I was just talking to my sister today, but people treat me differently, right? And I noticed it. A lot of people don't make eye contact with me. They'll only talk to the person I'm with. They won't talk to me.
No, they won't even look at you.
Yeah. A lot of people. Or there'd be the other side where they'll just come up to me like, what happened?
Really?
What happened to your legs?
Oh,
You broke your legs?
How much does that annoy you?
It used to really bother me a lot.
Yeah.
In my first couple of years, I would get very irritated, and then mostly I would just cry,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Yeah. But like now I just kind of use it as an opportunity to teach.
Yeah, an
Right.
educational moment.
Yes, because now I'm confident in myself, and I'm like, I feel okay with myself.
That's awesome.
And so back then I didn't, and that's why I felt very attacked by everybody and judged and like looked down upon. And so it was really hard to like wrap your head
And
around.
see, I hope
that.
people are hearing this and seeing it, but like they don't get the chance to feel the energy you bring into a room, and you exude confidence.
Thanks, man.
Which is awesome.
Thank you.
Right? Like you have this energy to you, Bean, that like I for one, like I wish we could go longer than an hour, because you bring it. And I find that that's what works really well for you, and I bet you that's a big testament to how you even were able to get up to 75 people to come into your recovery studio, right?
Yeah.
And I think that dialogue, it's important for you to maybe, if you're willing to share, what does that sound like when like someone does go and they ask you now, what do you end up saying back? Like, what does that conversation look like where you end up allowing yourself to educate somebody?
Well, I was taking Uber for a while last year, and a lot of Uber drivers are Indian men, right?
Yeah.
And so in my Uber, nowhere does it say that I have a wheelchair, nothing, right? Because I can transfer in and out. I can take my own wheelchair apart.
Yeah.
You just throw it in the trunk, whatever.
It's easy as that.
And so when they would come to my house to pick me up, right, they just call me, I'm here. Okay, I'll open the door. I come outside. I got my chair. I got 2 bags. I got my walker. And a lot of time, their looks on their faces are like, oh, shit.
Oh.
Ah, fuck. I
Yeah.
gotta take this girl. Right? And then, we get in the car and stuff, and then I, start talking, and, it's kind of awkward, right?
Yeah.
There's awkward silence and stuff, but I would usually start the conversation, and whatever, they'd be like, oh, where am I taking you? I'm like, oh, I'm going to work. And they're like, oh, where do you work? And I just say, oh, I open a nonprofit. It's a paralysis recovery center. And that kind of was like, oh, well, what happened to you? And as I say, I had a virus, right? A virus that attacked my spinal cord, and whatever, kind of just share the story that I shared with you guys.
Yeah.
And then I've had quite a few of the drivers at the end when they drop me off be like, you really made me think differently about a lot of people. So thank
great.
you. And that's the response I want, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm Indian. Yeah, I have a disability.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot of people in a lot of cultures with disabilities, but do you see them in the world?
You don't.
You don't.
They're hiding.
Right?
Unfortunately,
Because it's shameful.
It's so ridiculous.
Yes.
Right? Or, you
Yes.
know what's the scariest part is, just as scary, is they don't even share it with their families. Right? Like, they don't want to be a burden.
Yeah.
That's the way they look at it.
Yeah.
And that's a sad reality.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I know it's very common in the East Indian community, right? But, like, I think it's so sad where it's like, why can't we reach a point where, we put out our hand and be like, seek for help. Right?
Well, that's where it's going now, right? Like, it's 2019.
Exactly.
This is the future.
Totally.
Right? People are like, oh, the future's in 2,000 years. But, like, no,
It's
dude.
now.
Like, it's right now.
Yeah.
There's hoverboards and, like, everybody has a cell phone and the future is now.
Yeah.
Right? So why are we still living in the 1800s with our mentality?
That's so true. And it's such a trickle effect too, right? Like, when you're able to share what you shared with an Uber driver or anybody, that's now something that they're going to stick with, and they're going to tell their family. They're going to maybe, if they have kids, they're going to share it to them, or any of their loved ones.
Yeah.
So it's really neat what that could do for the community, right?
Yeah.
To ask on the note being of your situation with the non-for-profit, do you see yourself wanting to still be involved for as long as you can, or is this something that you're going to pass on the torch to?
I really don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, right? We're 2 years in, and I mean, I've tried to plan my whole life, and it did not go according to plan.
Yeah.
So I don't know where we're going to be in 5 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see, right? Obviously, like, ReYu is really important to me. It's important that it's successful and that it lasts a long time.
Totally.
But I got a really good piece of advice from an older lady when we were just starting ReYu, that what tanks a lot of businesses and stuff is people not willing to let go. And I'm the executive director right now, but there may come a time where somebody comes and has a better vision, has more experience, and a better path to take ReYu to the next level where I can't, right? And so I always remember what that lady said, and you try not to let your ego ever, like, get past you or get too big, because that's really going to block your vision and hinder your progress.
Exactly.
And so I don't know where I would be in 2 years. 5 years. I have no idea.
Well, at least you know now what you're doing right now is amazing,
Straight
right?
up.
And that's the point,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And I guess you did ask me about a client.
Yeah,
some
yeah.
success stories.
Of course.
So one of our biggest success stories is our very first client. He has an aneurysm on his brain stem. He's in his 40s, super smart guy. He's a pilot, but he was locked in his body. So when he came to us, he was non-communicative. He has very spastic, right? The only way he came to us like this, and the only way he could communicate was rolling his eyeballs up and moving his thumb this much. That's how he communicated. They would say A, B, C, D, and then he would lift his thumb for that letter, and then you go through the alphabet again, and that's how he would communicate.
Yeah.
And so he has been coming to us for 3 times a week. After a year of coming to us and working with us and stuff, he's able to speak verbally. He can write. You have to lift his arm up because of anti-gravity, right? Gravity is too hard for him still, but he can hold a pen. He can write.
Wow.
He just a couple of months ago, he came in and I was like, hey dude. And he's like, hey.
That's awesome.
Wow.
And then he's like there's something different about me. And we're like trying to like, what, did you get a haircut? Like, what is it? He's like, he got a watch. And he checks his time.
Oh, nice.
This last week, his wife
It's a victory
emailed
moment.
me.
Just being able to do
His
that.
wife emailed me last week, and she's like, "Hey, he has his own email address. He uses his tablet a lot more. Don't email me anymore. Email him directly."
Wow.
I was like, man, like such a big victory,
That
right?
is huge.
And he loved cooking. He was a great chef, but he was being tube fed because he couldn't swallow, couldn't control his mouth.
Yeah.
Now he eats. He's eating through his mouth.
Oh my goodness, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's huge.
huge.
What did someone like that have to go through in the rehab? So I'm just curious to know, like, if you're willing to share, of course, right?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
what you guys put him through, and what were some of those exercises? What was that psychological development maybe that went in hand?
It's a lot of things, right? For him, we started with eye tracking, right? So holding a light, going this way, going that way, keeping your head still, following the light, so you can control both eyes, right?
Yeah.
And then we did a lot of hand therapy. We did a lot of core, a lot of stretching. When you're in one position for a long time, your body's going to get contractures and stuff, right? And so then trying to release that, trying to get him to his neck control, get his head up. And like a really cool piece of equipment we have is virtual reality. And we're the first center to offer virtual reality as part of a neuro rehab clinic in Canada.
The technology,
So
the future, right?
It's dope, man.
That's sweet.
Yeah, and so, you know, when you put virtual reality on someone and you take their brain out of it, like little kids will do things and they don't think about it. They don't know they're working out, right?
Yeah.
They're just all playing like, oh, here's something sparkly up here.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, their legs are running or doing whatever, right?
Exactly.
But as adults, we don't have that luxury of turning our brains off. But when you put
Mm-hmm.
virtual reality on somebody and suddenly their head is a cannon and you're shooting dinosaurs or you're feeding puppies,
Yeah.
right? You're moving your head, you're doing all sorts of things. You
Yeah.
take that off
that you
and you're
normally
like,
wouldn't have done.
yes.
Wow.
It's very cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
eh?
Yeah.
it's real
The
cool.
tie-in.
Yeah.
And this is speaking volumes to me because I have really close people in my life who could most definitely benefit from what you're doing, right? From what you guys are offering. And so many times these loved ones of mine spend so much time and money and energy into what their doctors are going to tell them, into what the physio is going to do for them, and not bashing physio at all. But I just realized that we need to figure out this holistic approach
Agreed.
where you don't undermine the brain or the mind, right? Because that is, like you said, we touched on the psychology, we touched on certain brain like games with virtual reality. It's all tapping into the brain.
I mean, we don't really know what our brain is capable of.
Yeah.
Right? Neuroplasticity is a really new topic in Canada. But I mean, Canada is 30 years behind the States. The States is 50 years behind Europe. We
Yeah.
are way far behind the times in neuro rehab. Right? And like being an x-ray tech, I know how the medical system works. I've seen the ins and outs of it. I've worked right next to doctors and stuff. I understand the system.
Yeah.
The system is it's a business. It's not a system. It's a business.
It is.
What brings in business? Sick people. Right?
It's true.
Why are we going to fix a problem? We're just going to treat your symptom and then you come back later.
Yeah.
We don't have time to fix your problem. We don't have time. I only have 15 minutes. I'm going to see you, get in, get out. Here's your prescription. See you later.
For the
Right?
most part. Yeah.
Yes.
Very temporary,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. But with us, we're like, let's try to find the root cause and let's try to fix it. Right?
Awesome.
The thought process has been, if you have a brain injury or spinal cord injury, that's it, man. Sorry, bruh. What you got. But that is absolutely false.
So true.
You give somebody hope. You tell somebody that, you know what, I don't know if you're going to walk again, but neither does that doctor. Only God knows. Nobody knows. Or let's try.
Yeah.
What's the worst that's going to happen?
Definitely.
Right? And I mean, of course, we're very cautious. Everything is very methodical. Nancy is very by the book, right? The one thing we don't want to do is injure somebody or have somebody regress.
Yeah.
And so the methodologies and stuff, there's been studies done on activity-based training. It works. There's been studies done on it, right? It's legit. I'm living proof.
Oh, of
it
course.
works.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? And all it is exercise. That's it.
No.
It's the same. We do squats, we do lunges, we do shoulder press, we do chest press, back extension. Same thing.
You're doing mitt hitting. Like when I saw you hitting pads with the
Yeah,
boxing
bro.
gloves, I thought that was the
I love
coolest thing in
boxing.
the world.
I love it.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I
Right?
got 3 bags donated, and
Good
so
stress
we're gonna
reliever,
hang them
hey?
up. Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious as to, there's a lot of, like, we've been talking about a lot of exercise, but I'm curious as to know how much is it mental game, and what you maybe mental exercises that you've put yourself through or put your clients through that can get them to do the exercises or go beyond what they thought.
Like what
Yeah.
they could do at home.
Yeah,
Or
like
even
all
what
of
they
it.
could do.
Like
Yeah.
I mean, most people probably know that they have to do some sort of exercise or
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
But as far as like mentally, like what are I'm sure there are some exercises or things that you put
Yeah.
yourself through
Yeah.
on a daily to.
Well, it's just like anybody, right? Like the majority of my job is talking to people, right? Like Nancy does the training. She's the lead trainer. She does the training side of things. But people come to me to talk.
Yeah.
And whether it's them, whether it's their caregivers, whether it's their family members, loved ones, whatever, they want to talk to somebody who gets it, right? And who can understand. And we tell a lot of people, especially like whenever we get new assessments, that 90% of your recovery is your attitude.
Yeah.
If you have a bad attitude, bad things probably going to happen, right? If you have a good attitude, good things are probably going to happen.
Totally.
And it's hard to have a good attitude all the time. Yeah. And I don't have a good attitude all the time. Everybody has bad days, whether you have a disability or not, right? We're humans. Mm-hmm. But like, you have to let yourself feel that. And like, I tell people that I have rules for my pity parties, right? Like 1, no one else is invited. And 2, it's only like 2 hours, right? Oh. Feel it, cry, stomp around, feel sorry for yourself, eat all the chocolate you want. And then it's time to move forward, right? Because you can't get stuck in that. But a lot of people get stuck in that. And that's the hard part. And then for like, you know, with our clients and stuff, like I said, the community, right? Yeah. So we try to, introduce people to other people.
We're going through similar situations.
Right? And like do things that you would do in your normal life. And like just going for dinner, right? It's a big thing for a lot of people. And when you have a disability, people stare all the time, right? Yeah. If you have hand impairments, as a lot of my friends are quadriplegics, right? And so they eat differently, they drink differently, but everybody stares, right? Yeah. Because we're not in the community all the time. When we are, you're very visible and people are very curious, right? And oftentimes it's not like staring with malicious intent, it's curiosity. Right? I'm like, oh, I wonder how he's going to eat that. He just ordered a steak? Yeah. How the fuck is he going to cook a steak? Yeah. Right? He just ordered a burger?
Yeah.
Like,
how are they going to do that?
Yeah. Right? Wow. And so, like, it's funny because now me and my, like, wheelie peeps, we fuck around with people.
Yeah, I love it. Right? How do you guys do that?
It's really fun.
That's awesome.
When we go to a restaurant and 10 of us roll in wheelchairs and people are like, oh my God.
They're overwhelmed.
Fuck? What do we do? What do we do? Right? The look on their face is like, what language do they speak? Like, how am I supposed to talk to this person?
Do you think, is that it? Like, do you think a part of it's like they don't know what the proper way is to react? Is that like...
A lot of people don't want to offend you. Right? So they end up either not saying anything or they end up saying super offensive stuff. But like in
they don't even read it. Like, wow.
Like, okay, cool. You just totally offended me, but okay. Yeah. And but that's the thing is like breaking the stigma, and that's been one of my big goals since being paralyzed is breaking the stigma of people with disabilities, right? The only way to do that is to be a person with a disability, go into the able-bodied world and be like, hey, I'm a normal person.
Yeah, exactly.
You can treat me like a normal person.
Totally.
Right?
Oh, wow. That's the thing. Hey, it's almost as if they feel like they need to communicate with you differently.
Yes. And they do.
And that's not... Yeah.
And they do.
Damn. That's insane.
Yeah.
Hey? What do you think is the biggest thing that that shocked you? Not even shock you, but like that you became aware of yourself since you started your non-for-profit, where you kind of maybe took a step back and you were like, wow, I just noticed this about myself. And you either liked it, you didn't like it, but it was this quality in you that kind of came out.
I guess it's just process. Being like, it's hard to pinpoint like a certain quality, but like sometimes, because I don't think I'm anything special, right? We're kind of bred to think like I'm just a normal person doing normal things, right? And it took one of my friends who's a psychologist to be like, Bean, this is not something that everybody would do. And I was like, really? And she just told me this last year, okay? And I'm like, really? Yeah. And she's like, yeah, man, like not everybody is gonna get paralyzed and then like open a gym. Yeah. And I was like, to me, I just feel like this is what normal people would do.
Wow. See, that's cool. That's the gifted part about you.
Yeah.
Right?
And so then, it's funny because Nancy and I sometimes, we just said this last week, we looked at each other, we're like, what have we done?
Yeah. It's like we can't stop now. Like this has to keep going.
What did we do? Like last week, we're sitting there, all of our staff, everybody had left. We're sitting there, we're like, holy shit, we did this. Yeah. Like we did this. Right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a cool feeling, hey? Like when you see everything in action and then you look at it and you're like, this would not happen if I didn't plant this idea and be here every step of the way.
Yeah. Because on a day-to-day
super
basis, you're just kind of like, okay, I have this meeting today, I got to get this done, I have like 50 emails to send, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But when you really like take a step back, and you're like, holy shit, first of all, I'm running a business.
Yeah.
I'm an adult now.
It's pretty cool.
I'm doing adulting things.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's
And, like,
awesome. And then you're enjoying the process. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure at that point it doesn't even feel like work because you're giving back to the
Yeah.
community, and it's to people who you really care about and that you want to be able to see do better.
Yeah.
Right?
That's like things like this, right? Like, to me, this is technically work,
Yeah.
but it's not, right? I'm very grateful for every opportunity that's landed in my lap.
Definitely.
And like super appreciative to be alive, first of all.
Totally.
And then to be able to have a positive message for people. And I feel like so much negativity going on in the world.
Yeah.
And it's hard to find people who are positive and who can sustain their positivity.
Yeah,
I guess.
exactly. And find like the real person
Yeah.
behind the photo. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's so easy now to look someone up, see what they're doing, see what they're up to. But then, we take a minute, and that's exactly why we wanted to start this, is be like, you know what? Let's have people know the real Bean. Let's have people really hear for who she is, and for every other guest that we're bringing on to shine that light and have them speak about things they care about.
Yeah, man. It's
Right?
cool.
It's at this point, Bean, we will take a moment to appreciate you. I want to let you know that you're the first person that I really see in Edmonton taking the time and taking the energy to do something that is not easy to do.
Thanks,
First
man.
of all, right? Like, with your philanthropic organization and with you being able to do this, anybody, I bet, who isn't even in the position you're in, if they had the ability to do all these things and move around, it would still feel impossible to them. So for you to be able to do that, I appreciate you for doing
Thanks,
that.
man.
Right? Like, there's so many people, even for me, like, I have a friend in mind who I want to call as soon as this interview's over and let him know that I think I found his answer. Right?
Yeah.
And that's something where I'd love to send him your way.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's somebody who, again, he trusted the medical system, and now he despises it because the doctor looks at him now. And again, no offense to doctors, but it's like when they reach a point where they look at you and they're like, it just happened, and we don't know why. And then, like you said, people don't want to feel like they don't have an answer. They want to feel like there's that hope, and you give that for people, right? And you took that even before for yourself. You reached a point where you weren't going to let that change your life.
Yeah.
Right? And you did everything you did. You did your research, you talked to people. So that's amazing.
Thanks, man.
And I hope that, for the people listening to this, they get inspired and they realize how blessed they are and that they should never give up.
Yeah, 100%. One thing I would say in my speeches is like, be grateful for that step you're going to take, right? Be grateful for that gas pedal you're going to push down.
Exactly.
Because you don't know when things are going to be taken from you, right? So when you're complaining about running on the treadmill for 10 minutes or having to run stairs, do it for the people who can't. Because I would murder somebody to run stairs.
Exactly.
I'm not murdering anybody.
Like, I won't, I swear. No, but you make a great point, right?
Yeah.
Like, just simply be appreciative of what you've got.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people feel invincible. Yeah, like everyone feels invincible, right? And then when, something happens or whatnot, then it just like...
Totally.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, you know what, Bean? At this point, we're going to ask you some quick, easy fire shot questions.
Cool.
And we'll wrap it up that way. Just something for people to get to know the personal Bean a little bit more.
Okay.
So we'll start off real quick
Uh-oh.
with your favorite quote and why.
My favorite quote?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Well, lately in my head, I've been, like, I'm a huge Tupac fan.
Nice.
I wanted to marry him, and then he died.
I don't know why I'm not surprised, right? From what I've gathered so far.
But lately in my head has been keep your head up,
Sweet.
right? It's hard sometimes, you don't want to, but, like, that verse has always been in my head the last couple of months, actually. Just keep your head up,
Yeah.
right?
I like
Things
that.
are going to get better.
Cool.
Yeah.
Which woman on earth, whether they're still alive, they're still breathing, or they were living, once upon a time in the world, which woman do you absolutely idolize, and why?
My mom. Easy peasy.
Nice.
My mom.
I love that.
Yeah. She's like the strongest woman,
Yeah.
right? Like, has done everything for us. She's got 4 kids, basically raised us on her own, has worked double jobs for like 20 years, right? And just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And like never gives up, and like she's a fighter, right?
Yeah.
And she's feisty, so that's where we get it from.
Awesome. that bubbly personality, right?
Yeah.
I love it. And next question is, picture a perfect day and explain it to me. Perfect day for you. It could be anything, and anything can happen in that
Oh,
day. But
goodness.
what does that perfect day look like for you?
Oh boy. A perfect day?
Yeah, perfect day. And it could be as simple as whatever it is that you have in mind. But maybe just nice and simple, lay out some things that make a perfect day for you.
Okay. Well, I would eat really good food,
Awesome.
right? I'd work out
That's definitely
for sure.
first on the list.
In my perfect day, I would be able-bodied.
Yeah.
I would have my mobility back. I wouldn't have to deal with my bladder. I wouldn't have to deal with my spasticity.
Of course.
And I don't know, like that's a very weird question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I would
you
hang
were
out with my
Guess on the spot
family.
sometimes.
Yeah,
I'd hang out with my
we do.
friends, and like just tell everybody that how you feel, that I love them, that I appreciate them,
Yeah.
and I don't know, just be happy, I guess.
There you go. I love it. And last but not least, on this perfect day for me right now, we chose you to be on this interview because we believe you embody the second floor mentality. And for us, as Omid and I are really putting out there, is those people who are on the second floor are people who, thrive and survive and they keep the good vibes going, right? They do whatever they can to impact other people. And I want to know, what is your definition of being on the second floor? Like, what do you feel like it takes to be on the second floor? Not on the podcast, but just metaphorically in life.
I think just a good attitude, right? Having a good attitude, having faith in something, believing in yourself, and just, being true to yourself and like knowing who you are and being okay with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I feel like I should have had a notepad for today's
Yeah, same
podcast,
here.
right?
I
Like,
should've, yeah.
there's I'm gonna listen to this
Yeah.
again and take
You asked
notes.
all the
Honestly,
questions. I should have been taking notes.
that was awesome. Well, you know what, Bean? I really appreciate your time. I know you're a very busy woman, and I want to thank your sister Tin for having us do the show here today in a comfortable setting.
Yeah,
so
man.
that was awesome. Thank you, Bean.
Thank you very much.
That was great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much.
It's a wrap.